my husband decided that the Orthodox life was very intense for him. He grew up with a more traditional background, and that's what he connected with most. It's been a challenge.
So you're different religious observance. Is that what the issue is?
Yes, exactly.
So are you at different levels, or he's nothing and you're something, or you're a lot and he's a little? I mean, it might be helpful for us to understand where exactly each of you is holding.
Yeah, for sure.
It's hard to define that, and I don't mean to put you in a box, but I just think,
No, of course.
Different issues.
Again, since I've been dealing with this challenge, I have connected with other women in similar situations. And so I do recognize the part where I'm grateful in whatever way that he can make it as easy as he can.
Mm-hmm.
But, he doesn't wear a kippah and he doesn't go to shul. But Shabbat is a time for family.
Go ahead.
Shabbos is family time, but it's not a part that he observes. Whatever happens, he'll go be by himself, and whatever happens there, we don't really ask him about it. He does it privately.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely no fasts, but we'll go to shul for Shabbat day and holidays.
Oh, he also goes to shul on Shabbat day?
Shabbat day, he'll usually come, and not always.
You mean with your kids and you?
Exactly.
And
it's a whole family thing.
Does he wear a kippah there?
If one of the kids are not into it, then we don't go.
I see. And does he wear a kippah over there, just out of curiosity?
For sure.
Oh, that's nice.
Out of respect.
Yeah, that's nice. Okay, good. And
can I ask her how old the kids are? Are they young, or are they teens? Are they?
Well, she's only married 12 years, so I'd assume.
Right, so under the age of 10.
Oh, under the age of 10. So they're not officially teens.
They're not officially teens.
Right.
Good luck with that. Although tweens, I don't know. Okay.
Well, they are back to back. They're very close in age.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody asked the same thing on Instagram. Do they have small children? and actually, somebody here wants to know, Rosemary's asking, are the children being raised in what faith? Meaning, obviously Jewish, but in what direction are you what's the home?
Right. They go to an Orthodox school, and that's how we raise them. We've always raised them with respect for people of all walks of life. My parents are not religious, and they're very close with them. And my husband's parents aren't religious either, so they've connected with them too. So they were very exposed to the other side, so to speak. And so they've from a small age, they've always asked, why doesn't Saba wear a kippah, or why did they drive on Shabbat, or something like that. So we've had the opportunity to explain to them that everyone respects Hashem differently. And that's kind of the reverberating message we try to give to our kids.
It's terrific. So let me ask you, Sydney, what can I help you with?
I think what most people in my position struggle with is the two aspects of it, which is what's my role as a wife in this position, and also what's my role to myself as a observant person.
What do you mean, what's my role to myself? I got the first question, but I didn't understand the second one.
Sure. The second one is how you remain true to yourself and true to your observance and your connection to Hashem within this.
While not feeling distanced from your husband, I'm assuming, because it's that balance, I'm assuming.
I think the good thing...
Did she hear you?
The best, I think so. The best dating advice I ever got was that you should marry a mench. And so I'm very grateful that my husband is a good person, and we're very close, and we have a good relationship. We laugh together, we talk about deep things, we talk about our struggles, we do all of those things together. So it's just this part where we disagree.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an overall like way of life, because he views Orthodox Judaism as something that's so extreme and something that's so tough, whereas I view it as something happy and light and connecting, and he doesn't connect to Hashem in that way.
Right, and it's almost like when you were asking about how do you have to be true to yourself, it's almost, I'm thinking in my own life, it's almost the concept of thinking, well, am I being too from? Meaning, at what level do I have to be? Where am I going above?
Because there's always differences with every marriage.
Levels with every marriage. Mm-hmm. So if I'm trying to be better, and I'm trying to be true to myself and grow, etc., but at the expense of my husband feeling separated or disconnected or ostracized, or them putting him down, how can I
So that's the second question that she just articulated.
Yeah.
Your second question there, Sydney?
Yeah, and if I can give an example, it's even like I've avoided going to shiurim because I don't want. I'm like afraid that it'll make me too much and it'll cause more issues.
You don't want to learn any more that you need to do. That's just going to make more disconnect. I know.
Right.
You know, I want to be connected, and I want to be close to Hashem, and I also want to be close to my husband. So
it's almost like I'm hearing you say, like, in a way you kind of feel like you have to choose one or the other. Like, if I choose too much connecting to Hashem, then that's going to distance me from my husband. But if I'm too much connecting to my husband, then what if I get distance from Hashem? And it's like this, like, beep boop, like.
And just a quick thing, because someone on our Instagram was saying that she missed a little bit of the first part. So we're basically, if you could just reiterate what Sydney's issue is.
Right. So the basic thing and the two questions. So here's the situation. You have husband and wife at different spiritual levels. Sometimes they're big, sometimes they're little, sometimes even little ones sometimes can cause friction in a marriage. But from speaking to Sydney the other day, the overriding feeling in their married life is tension. And she wants to not have that tension. And that's why she's turning to the ladies' talk show, turning to our Masorah, our tradition. What do we do about this? How do we get that tension? We want yumminess in our house. And it's such a heavy-duty thing. It affects every aspect of our life. How do we answer this question? And the main issues now that she's looking for answers to is, number one, how does she, what was the first one?
No, how she... in general with her husband.
Yeah, her role. What is her role, you know? And then the second thing is, how does she stay true to herself? Is that accurate there?
Yes.
Okay, fine. So a couple of questions for you. You had mentioned on the phone the other day that he wants you to dress less modestly. So can you explain that? Well, and how you feel about that, and where that, and how that conflict, what that conflict looks like. Like, you come out of the, you come out of the dressing, your bedroom and whatever, you're dressed a certain way. What happens?
Well, it's definitely been a transition. I used to wear very different clothes than what I wear now.
In which direction? Explain.
I guess in an effort to appease him, or appease him, is I definitely wear tighter clothing, or what you would call more of a borderline, what's the word?
Sneeze, modesty.
Or in terms of like where the skirt hits, like by the knee, like right on the knee, kind of thing. A little bit of a lower neckline sometimes. And so his view of modesty is different. He doesn't want me to dress provocatively. He says, well, jeans are modest, like every modern woman, every modern mom is wearing jeans, and she looks beautiful and sneeze. That's the word he uses. He says, why does it have to be so extreme? That we're wearing clothing that that our ancestors wore in the desert, or such.
And to relate it, by the way, to some of our listeners, because I've heard it from a couple of people, is take a woman who her husband wants her to wear a longer sheitel and a sexier looking sheitel, something that looks more, when they go out, he wants her to look a certain way, and she, in her growth, wants to tone it down a little bit. And I have many friends who said to me, I want to cut my sheitel, or I want to wear a headscarf, or I want to do different hair covering, but my husband wants me with long and attractive, and it's a big divide because it's halacha, it's growing in her modesty and tznius, or being attracted to her husband.
These are heavy-duty issues, and how do you keep shalom with such things, and what do you do for God, and what do you do for your husbands, and how do you manage that? And it's very hard. We have a lot of answers from our Masorah, but there's also a lot of individuation for each of these questions. There needs to be a person to turn to for this, and that's one of the topics I wanted to talk to you about today, Sydney, because when I asked you, I said, well, do you have a rabbi that you consult with, or a rebbitzin, or some clergy person, some person that you can turn to who can give you advice on how to do it and how to walk that fine line? And her answer, Sydney's answer, was very potent, which is, and Sarit, you hinted at it before, which is, if I ask him and he tells me to do something that, you can do this, you can't do that, I know myself, I will do it because I really take the halacha seriously. And then I'm in an even worse situation with my husband. This is hard enough basket. There's a hard enough thing to deal with and to live with and to daily life. It's hard enough without now having more things hoisted upon me and more constrictures hoisted on me. And I totally hear that. But here's the point. When someone becomes religious, so they go to a class, and the class is all about how to keep kosher, and the teacher is teaching it to the nth degree. If the person went home and started doing what they learned in that class, they would jump out of Yiddishkeit in 2 seconds flat. They would 2 seconds in, and they'd be like, "This is way too hard. I'm just going to do nothing." Okay, so you have very brilliant, wise rabbis and rebbitzins who said, "Listen, this is the get-to point. You got 20 years, okay? This is where we want to get to. Start by not eating, I'm talking about kosher now. Start by not eating shellfish. Don't go cash your kitchen and throw away all your dishes and whatever. Don't eat shrimp. And then don't eat pork, or the other way around, whatever it is. Start doing this. Then after you've got that down and you feel like you want to grow a little bit, then separate milk and meat. Okay, you still go out to eat and you're eating salads. Is that ideal? Obviously not. Is that a sin? Is that a vera to eat something that might have a bug in it? We're not going there. We're not. The thing is, you have to look at the long-term picture. And the same here is that you need to find somebody. We need to get supported. We all need support. We need to have support systems around us. And in the situation you're in, which is a challenging minute to minute, there isn't a day that goes by, Sydney, that this isn't an issue for you. There isn't probably an hour with your kids, how to raise the kids. This is all pervasive. And to do it on your own is called self-cruelty. Is there such a thing? You know what I mean? It's like, no. So how do you get that support if the person's going to say, oh, well, you need to be no. That's not. You need to find somebody or create somebody with the following characteristic. You need to write a letter to a rabbi or a rebbitzin or somebody you look up to. Say, look, here's my situation. Whatever, we're both religious, whatever, he's not religious anymore. I am terrified to ask you any questions, because if you tell me things that are too hard, it's going to make my shalom bayis, my peace in my home worse. It's going to make me feel more miserable. It could damage me how you handle this. So I'm begging you. You don't have to say begging. It makes you look like a pathetic, but whatever. I am asking you from the bottom, okay? I'm asking you from the bottom of my heart. Can you either help me or give me the name of somebody who can help me, who can guide me into, should I just all of a sudden be kosher in one day, in 24 hours? Or what are the next level or the next step or the next area I should be working on? What are parameters I need to be thinking about? There are things that are going to come up when you say you really don't know your own role, how you should progress in your own growth in this thing? Like, how do you be true to yourself when you're trying to whatever? One way is by knowing what the lines are. Like he might say, you know what, it is really bad for you to eat non-kosher food with your husband and go out to dinner with him, but it's completely fine for you to go out to dinner with him. I'm not a Rav. I'm not poskening. I don't know the answer to that question.
Back to her.
Well, let me just finish what I'm saying. So the thing is, he might say, you can go to whatever restaurant to make him happy and sit there and have some soda in a paper cup. That's fine. You knowing that now gives you a whole new tool for managing your relationship with your husband. So,
Sure.
but again, that rabbi needs to know that if he tells you never this and never that, and makes your life more difficult, give it to you in steps, give it to you in stages, give you the least possible, the most mechel, the most lenient thing that you can do that still makes it work. And you tell him, I want every leniency that I can, because guess what, Rabbi? I deserve a gold medal bigger than the Eiffel Tower for service already rendered, because you have done something. Sydney, you have to understand who you are. You may not get in touch with it very quickly or very easily. You are an extraordinary woman who's dealing with a very challenging circumstances, and you, out of your own mouth, from talking the other day and what you've said here this morning, you have been able to keep laughter and closeness and togetherness and deep conversations in a marriage with that going on. Who are you? Seriously. Ashes Heil. I'm so impressed.
Yeah.
I'm so impressed.
Our
I'm
Instagram
got
people
goosebumps.
feel the same way. They said, what a big topic. And Aliza said, wow, these situations sound so tough. What a strong woman you are.
There.
So you have
heard it here first. You got a whole fan club
a whole
here.
Fan club of people who feel
I'm
the same way.
hashtag Sydney's the best. I'm telling you. So,
You know, if I can add something,
Yeah.
first of all, thank you so
Yeah.
far.
Yeah.
I'm crying in my sofa right now.
Okay, good.
You know, I think it can feel so alone. Being in this situation in general you can feel very alone. But as someone who's a baal teshuva, my parents were very supportive of me, of course, but it was very difficult for them when I started being religious. And when my husband started going in this direction, it was all like my father would say stuff like, oh, what, this isn't too much, or this isn't enough, or whatever it is. And he would like look over at my husband, and my husband would kind of be like, yeah, this is too much, or whatever. And I'm like, okay, great. I'm really alone on this. You know, like I always imagined myself getting married and having my husband to back me up on all these things, because being religious is hard. And so it just feels very, very lonely, you know?
Yeah, and there's a lot of
I
people
appreciate everyone's support on this.
Yeah, you have a lot of people that are like nodding, even people that are not baalei teshuva, even people that are like they were from birth, and they're just their husbands and wives. Women are way more spiritual and way more connected. We're known to be that way. We're just more connected in general, and we sometimes grow in a much quicker pace than our husbands. And I think you're getting from a lot of people who are saying they feel it even not as baalei teshuvas, just feeling that they are not at the same place.
Everyone could take little pieces from it.
That's very good. It's fantastic. So let's get some real practical advice there. You ready for that, Sydney?
Okay,
sure.
For you, Leah.
Okay, fine.
Rosemary wants to know that modesty, right, is something that is for Hashem, between a woman and Hashem, and she feels that her husband, Sydney's husband, should be respecting her modesty, not asking her to shirk that line. So she wants to know how.
Let's turn to our sources.
Yes. How can we answer that? Everyone is okay with that.
So basically, there's a couple of things that the rabbi said. One is, and and this you're already doing, it's important to stay together. Divorce only makes problems, does not solve problems. Like, that's what people say, oh, well, this just ended. This isn't working because he's that way and I'm this way, whatever. It just makes problems worse. That's what the Rav said, and that's been my experience also. It's like now a complicated thing. It's throwing a whole other complicated thing. So the way you're handling and what you're doing and trying to make it work and trying to get closer and being on the show today so that you can learn better ways to be closer and more ways, awesome. Yeah. So what he said, certainly, this is to answer Rosemary's question, certainly if he allows her to keep mitzvahs, there is no issue. If he does not, then she must consult a competent, respected Rav. So for the sneas issue and what she does, it's between her and God or whatever, that is true. But we all know that when we get dressed, a lot of people, they get dressed for who the other women are going to see them, and she's wearing a hip trendy thing a husband doesn't know, like those pom-poms people wore on the guys hated them, and the women were all like, oh, well, I'm in.
Yeah.
I got a pom-pom on me, whatever it is, whatever the latest thing is.
And he's like, you look like a bunny.
Yeah, exactly. But,
fashion that repels men and women love.
Right, but the women still wear them because we're women. Okay, deal with it. Okay, fine. But I'm just saying that, you're modifying your clothing to be, quote unquote, less sneas, not less sneas, but less how you like being true to yourself. You'd be much more sneas, but this is what he wants, and you're doing that. You're mavattering, you're giving in for him. There's a huge merit to that. But again, this is where having somebody to turn to just say, you have to use your own judgment. Wearing things a little bit tighter and looser, that's kind of like, that's within the realm. I'm just using this as an example. I'm not a posek or whatever, but, wearing looser and tighter, that's within the realm of what's done in the community. So, is that ideal? Maybe not, whatever. For shalom bias, I would think so. As long as it's sneas, you're covered, everything's covered, you're not, whatever. The going below the collarbone, that might be a different question. Like that might be, better to go a little tighter than show the collarbone, whatever it is. Whatever those laws are, the halachic Jewish law that you're following or whatever, there's some leniencies and some things are better and worse. And it may not matter all that much to you which one of those is better, and it may not matter all that much to your husband. Like he might not feel that a lower, neckline, even though you think, well, that's dressing a little less sneas, that may not be any more attractive to him than something else you might do, which was more lenient. So knowing what those boundaries are will help you enormously. And that angst that we all feel when we have indecision or we don't know whether we're doing the right thing, we want to be true to God, we want to be true to our husbands, we want shalom, we want peace, we want our home to be a certain way. Information does a great thing, and cutting off your access to that information is totally understandable. I get it, okay? Right. But if you set it up in such a way, you can even show the rabbi this class. Have him. Can you watch this from this timestamp to this stamp time preview of coming and trying whatever to just so that he can understand. The people who are trained in Kiruv on Baal Teshuvas, people becoming frum. They are trained. Listen, guy. I know you're, like a bookkeeper, and you're an accountant, and you're an actuary, and you like everything's by the book, and you do no sins whatsoever. You do nothing wrong every day, all day long. I get it. If you want to get people interested and growing and getting closer to God, if you want to do that, guy, you got to chill. You got to chill out. One step at a time. We're on the 20-year plan. Okay? Same here. You got to train a rabbi or get a rabbi who either is already trained in this or can be helpful. And if there's anybody out there who's listening, whose husband, brother, sister is a rabbi or rebbitzin or whatever, who can help in this area, post their email address below, and we'll make them a superstar. We'll get them 1,000 people who have the same circumstance, and they can become the Bucky, the maven in this field. Okay, maybe there already is somebody. If you know somebody, post them below so that we can help each other. We can have resources for each other. Because these are real needs. And I'm sure everybody who's listening can understand that feeling of, I don't want to ask. Because if he tells me what I don't want to know, then what do I do? Okay?
Feeling like you have two opposing things that are like your everything inside of you that just don't mesh.
And here's the thing, Sydney, we have to get supported. So I'm going to go through a couple of things. Ready? Is everyone ready for...
Tova, by the way, clapped, gave you a huge clap, Sydney.
Yeah.
It feels like very
thumbs up.
Applause.
Can I ask just one question?
Sure.
Because is it not okay for her to when it comes to the modesty, not other things, I agree. But modesty is so personal to a woman.
Yeah.
And it's so intrinsic to a woman. We were literally created that way in the modest. We strive for that.
Yeah.
Right.
So I feel like that's somewhere where I've also am very connected to you because it's something that I grew in a lot. So I'm almost a baal teshuva even though I'm from birth, I'm a baal teshuva when it comes to modesty. And I feel like, is it not okay for her to have a conversation with her husband where she says, I love you and I respect you fully and I understand your area of growth and we're my area and we're maybe not on the same page right now, but I love where our relationship is and I want to be attractive for you. I want you to be very attracted to me and I want to dress attractive to you. And I will. In our bedroom and in other areas where we're privately together, I will wear whatever you like to whatever. But my collarbone being lower doesn't make me feel good when I go out. I don't want other men to look at me. I don't want to be uncomfortable the whole time. Like, does she have to give up on all her...
Excellent.
I don't know. No?
Is Sarit awesome or what? Like, hello?
No, I don't know. I'm thinking for myself. I feel so like
in the
cheated.
context-
Yeah, compromise. I feel compromised.
Wait, did you have a comment you want to make, Sydney, before I answer this?
Well, it's definitely a conversation that we've had. And I've been flexible, definitely within our home, even, But the going out together or being out together is an important thing,
So compromising.
You look
I'm his
very
wife.
emotional,
He
Sarit.
I'm
wants
emotional
to
because
be seen,
I feel her. And I feel like if I would have to go out wearing something that makes me feel exposed in any way, like the knee thing, the halacha is just to your knee. So the 4 inches, that's above halacha. And you could wear to your knee, and you're totally in the realm.
Check with your own local
but
rabbi.
I've studied
okay.
this actually
okay.
intensely because I had this issue with so many.
Yeah,
but
okay.
I'm just saying, when it comes to like collarbones or where you're exposed in area where you feel like so
naked,
vulnerable, naked, like you're walking out naked, is that okay for a husband to expect that of a woman?
Right. Yeah. Okay. So good. Did you have something before I answer? Okay. So here's something that every woman, whether you're dealing with this particular issue or not, needs to think about, which is we have to have a plan. This isn't something you shoot from the hip. Sydney, if you were heading for Mount Kilimanjaro, you wouldn't just book your plane and get on the plane. You would spend 10 months studying Google, buying books on Kilimanjaro, buying, I need for thermal, toe socks. I need heated neck warmer. I need whatever. Here's where, when you land, they take a bus over here and then you have to trek over here. Oh, do I have the right shoes for that? Do I have the right thing for that? And then you land in this thing and you stay in a tent for 4 days. Well, I haven't climbed Mount Kilimanjaro, so I'm making this up as I'm going along. But, you have to stay to acclimate to the altitude for 4 days here. Then you go, then you crawl this thing and it's about a 2-day walk and then you start the climb. And when you start the climb, you need a whole other backpack that has blah, blah, blah. If you were climbing Mount Kilimanjaro, you would spend a year of your life doing research.
Also,
hold on. Yeah. Hold on a sec. Oh, okay. Here you are in the most important relationship in your life. It takes preparation. You have to do research. You have to do your homework. You have to pick your priorities. I'm going to explain how to do that. But you just have to get your mind set on the thing. This is not something to shoot from the hip. Life is not to be shot from the hip. The more we learn from Mesilas Yesharim, the more planning you do and the more thinking you do, the more introspection you do, the better your actions. The zrizas is the thinking, and the sehiris is the thinking, and the zrizas is the actions. The more your actions can inform. You can do things that you don't really want to do, and then you do it, and it convinces your body, your neshama, your soul, to do the right thing. So it works on both ways. But it starts with introspection and with thinking about what is the best thing to do here. If you had to design your life, right, you probably wouldn't say, let's say every day at 5:00, you're screaming off your head because the kids just got home from school. You've had 2 hours of them. You're up to here. And then your husband comes home and says, is dinner ready, dear? You know, that is an everyday activity that happens in your life every day. Right. So just living your life by, like that is just off the cuff like that is not going to be a successful life. Whereas if you say, boy, every day at 5:00 is I'm a wreck. I'm working so hard on my anger issues. I always fall apart at 5:00. If you plan and think, okay, I'm going to take a nap at 2. Good luck with that. No, but I'm gonna not take on so many things. I'm gonna whatever. I'm gonna, instead of trying every night to make a starch, a protein, and a vegetable, and 2 vegetables, and a this and you know what? We're having macaroni and cheese 3 nights a week. Whatever it is. I'm just saying, you plan your life so that it goes well. So by the same token, here we are. You have this situation. Here's the conversation, and this encompasses what Sarit was saying. Did you had something you want to add? I'm sorry.
So I was just going to say the difference between packing for Kilimanjaro and doing your research to approach this is Kilimanjaro is not emotionally charged and fraught with sickness of like in your gut of like, oh my gosh, I just want it to work. Right. So like there is also that factor. It's just like when a child comes home from school and had a crazy day, you don't say like, all right, let's do the homework. Like, gotta get into it. Like you have to also address your own emotional part of you and get that support, and then
1000%.
From that place.
So here's where making a plan solves that, or helps that anyways.
Right.
Okay.
That's in the plan.
That's the main part of the plan. That's the main part of the plan. Good. When Sarit was asking her husband, was saying about her, not her husband, was asking, saying, can you say this to your husband, or you just have to stuff it, and walk out the door with not feeling comfortable. No, this happens in the conversation. Now, here's what happens when you have a conversation that's combative on one issue, then it doesn't go well. Like she said, we tried that, not so successful. But when you have an overarching conversation, a planning session, okay, this is not in the spur of the moment. This is not because you've got a bug in your bonnet about this has really been bugging you. But it's a planning session, and many, many times a third party, a loving third party, or impartial third party can really help with this.
Right.
So here's what happens in that conversation. It's not about you and what you need and what your expectations of him are and what you're crying out your heart that you don't want to dress this way or whatever. The conversation is much more like a formal business planning session where you're saying, listen, here's where we are. You want me to dress less sneers. I want to dress more sneers. You want more freedom to do what you want to do. Let's figure out what your needs are. Let's figure out what my needs are, and let's come somewhere in the middle. It's not just making you happy; it's making him happy. What kinds of things have been bothering you? You keep mentioning that you don't want to go to shul. You don't like going to synagogue. It's just too much, and it's just whatever. And I keep forcing you. We have this conflict every Saturday morning. Enough already. What's our plan going to be? You're going to come twice a month happily, and the other times you're completely off the hook? Plan this. This is something that doesn't have to be a conflict. It could be an agreement. Are you happy that he's not coming twice a month? Not great, but the times he does come, he's really there. He wears the things you want him to wear. It has to be a compromise, and it has to be done in a conversation. So a planning session. The way I would start if I were you, Sydney, is because there's a lot to think about. Get yourself a notebook and write down. You told me your number one thing that you wanted to solve is the tension in the household. So start with the tension. What things are causing tension? Do this on your computer, whatever, on an app. I don't care. Number one, the fact that he, is downstairs watching videos on Shabbos. But it sounds like that's not causing tension. It seems like you just like, okay, Abba's gone resting now. Right. It seems like you got that. That's a gift you're giving your husband, and in exchange, maybe you'll say, look, I won't say another thing. I won't be upset about it. Let me cover my collar. Okay,
good compromise.
Good compromise. Of all things asked for, you already are doing a lot for him. You told me on the phone that you were wearing a tichel all the time, which a bandana around your head, and you went to a sheitel. That's a gift you gave him. In return, dear, sweetest, loving husband, not like a tit for tat, but, that was really hard for me. I did it because I love you so much and I want to feel closer to you. When I say we need to do Kiddush on Friday night, because she had mentioned this to me, and he's like, oh, we got to do Kiddush? Oh, like, do you know how hard that is for me to go into Kiddush? Go into Shabbos. It's the beginning of Shabbos, and you're giving me a hard time about something so elementary. So if I put on the sheitel, I'll wear the sheitel. It'll be longer than I would ever wear. Yeah. But on Friday night, when it's Kiddush time, give me a wink and say, "Oh, great! It's Kiddush time!" That's all I'm asking from you, dear.
I'll wear my longest sheitel to Kiddush.
I'm just saying, there's a give and there's a take and whatever. It's got to be a compromise, but it can't be on the spur of the moment because a guy will never think of that himself. But if you have a plan, and you sit down with your notebook, what are the areas of tension in my marriage that I'm facing? What are the things I'd like to solve? What am I willing to give up? What am I willing to do? Who's the support system I'm going to get? All this should be part of your plan. That doesn't necessarily have to go in with him because, for whatever reason he decided the Orthodox life isn't for him, and it could be many, many reasons. But whatever that is, turning to a rabbi and asking, Rabbi, what should I do about that might not be in the cards at this moment, okay? But you certainly need to get yourself supported. So a couple of things. One, the making a plan, having compromises, like you said, there's a big stigma. I talked about in the beginning and the introduction that the part of the problem of this issue, if any one of my listeners, if you guys you have a problem, your financial, you thought you had this money in the bank and it went to pay taxes, and now how are you going to pay for Pesach? Whatever it is that is troubling you, it's your business. Fine. Mm-hmm. You still go to the market. Hi, how's everything? How are you? You're not wearing it on your sleeve. Having the stigma of having a problem, and there's some people who he's going to be going out the house without a kippah. You feel embarrassed. You're walking down. Oh my gosh, there's the principal of the school. Hi. Mm-hmm. Okay. So maybe part of the compromise. Listen, I get it. You don't want to wear a kippah. I will wear a sheitel and I will wear shorter skirts. Do you mind when we go out wearing a baseball cap? Like, it's American. It doesn't have to say MAGA. It can say whatever you want, whatever, whatever. But that just as a favor to me. So why should I be uncomfortable? It's a level of uncomfortability of, oh, what's going on? So again, this is part of a planning session. Okay. You wanted to understand what is expected of you as a wife. That doesn't change. And as we saw what the rabbi said, as long as he is letting you do the halacha, now maybe he wants it differently than you want it, different lengths of skirts or different whatever. I don't know if he's compromising the kashrus in the house, how kosher you can be. Is that an issue, or he just lets that go?
It's less of a thing. He's becoming a little bit better about it.
Okay.
We use glass for everything. Mm-hmm. So that being Sparty, that helps out.
Oh, yeah, that's good. yeah.
Oh my God, we just had this conversation yesterday.
Use glass for everything, for Pesach too.
yeah.
But just being aware of the microwave and being aware of silverware and things like that. It is complicated. Things do come up sometimes. Mm-hmm. But I think a lot of people have those challenges. The husband takes the wrong pan and messes everything up.
Yeah, whether they're religious or not.
Right.
Yeah, that's
exactly.
I
think that's a regular male problem.
Yeah, 25 years. Is this a meat or a milk fork? I mean,
right,
hello.
like,
One's
hello?
red, one's blue. Like, hello. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So
exactly.
Got it. Right. Fine. But again, so what you want to do though, you can't eliminate tension, but you want to minimize tension, and that's done by hashing out a master plan. Once you get your notebook filled with all the things that cause tension, go to the right of them, maybe leave space under each one and then fill in what are some potential solutions to that problem. What are some compromises you can make? What are some things you can do to alleviate it in your own mind? Which rabbi or rebbitzin can you talk to about this to say, I'm giving my husband such a hard time about being awake early on Shabbos, when they might say, let him sleep in, or whatever it is. I'm making up these things. Again, I'm not I'm not making pronouncements. And I'm saying some of the things that you might be very uptight about or very upset about. may not be issues, and you need to know the answers to that. Again, pre-sell the rabbi to walk on eggshells when he's talking to you, to not demand too much of you, and to give you the long-range plan. What'd you say? Warn the rabbi. Tell him. Say, for you, the truth is, and what you've been acting on, which is what gets us all choked up here, is you have been putting shalom bayis first.
Right.
You have been. And you need to congratulate yourself. Go out right now. This is a direct order, and buy yourself a new dress. It can be as sneeze as you want. Whatever. Buy yourself something, Sydney, because you deserve a gold medal. You're working hard. You're keeping it together, and you're putting shalom bayis first. And that is why you have so much blessing in your life, is the ability to do what you have been doing. But to clean up those levels of tension, number one is to make this chart, then go through, figure out what you can let go, whatever. And then the issues that you're left with, the deep issues that you're like, okay, when it's in front of my parents and he's saying, my parents are saying be less religious, and he says be less religious, I'm putting my foot down on that one. This one is a demand, like never again, zero tolerance policy, husband, dearest, I love you. Zero tolerance policy. It says there's a direct commandment in the Torah that says you put your wife before your parents, and he cannot throw you under the bus like that. Now, he may not be interested in what the halacha is, so maybe don't even quote that. But he cannot do that. It's too painful. It's in a too hard basket. And you can say, this is something that is so, so important to me. Please tell me, dear husband, is there something similar or like that on your standpoint that I can give you in return? What can I do for you that will assure me you will never, ever do that again? Chances are he'll say, no, I'll never do it again. I get it. But he might say, let me take the kids to the ice capades where the people are half dressed, and which you're like, oh my gosh, that's a bad influence. I don't know. I'm making stuff up, but whatever it is, and you might, that might be hard for you. So I don't know if you're making deals like this, you might get yourself in hot water. But I'm just saying there are...
Not everything could be a deal.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean look at everything we're already doing. So now we need to, on top of that, well, let me think how I'm going to make this equal. Let's just be regular married people where we help each other out and we're not keeping tally of every single part,
100%. That's different than hashing out a plan. Because you will find when you write down all of the areas of tension that are currently bothering you, I think you're going to find at least 30% of them, maybe it's 25%, maybe it's 50%, are things that you can let go of, either by checking with a rabbi to see that it's okay, or just you saying, you know what, of all the priorities, really I want to fight that battle. And this is the true in any subject we're talking about with our husband. We just want we have such high expectations, and those expectations we have build our husband. I mean, they're good to have certain expectations, but at a certain point, it's like we're pulling them in we're asking too much of them. So I think by making a list of a plan, it's not saying, okay, tit for tat or whatever and balancing out, but I'm giving you sort of a feel for how you want to start to look at it. I want to cover another topic, which is getting yourself supported. So, they're built-in support systems. When a new mother, what does she have? She has mommy and me. Most moms go to such a thing where, or they even going to the park, a meal train or whatever. We have these things that, and even in not Orthodox communities, people have stuff, someone's having a baby, they have a baby shower for them at their office work. We have support systems built around us. And the more, it's unfortunately over the last 50 years, they've kind of disintegrated and, the extended families are living in different places. So it's a little tougher in today's day and age. I get that. But there is, in the Orthodox community, there's built-in support systems for many, many things. People have, learning disabled kids. They have, bullying going on. There are places and organizations to turn to. For this challenge, there isn't necessarily an organization that I know of. Maybe our readers will post something below. If there isn't something...
There are support groups.
Good. So
there's one that I know of, and there's one that I kind of run on the side. But there are people in the opposite situations, too, where the wife is not religious and the husband is.
Right. Right. So I
More
hear.
venting.
What'd you say?
More venting, less solutions.
More
But
venting
at least you
than
feel
solutions.
less alone.
You feel less alone, which is important.
Yeah.
I was just saying, you're such a leader and so forthcoming and so doing so great that I'm thinking you should write a book on the topic.
Wow.
Start with your journal.
Right?
Crying in my couch and
What'd you say?
As you cry, right. As you cry, journal.
Oh man.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people going through this. A lot of people.
And suffering in silence.
Suffering in silence. So the issue is that there is a lot of research you could be doing. There's therapists and rabbis and counselors and the people who run the support groups that you know of, calling people from the support groups, gathering of data. Gather the data. You know what? One woman said that, what she does is, she for Passover, because there was so much tension and whatever. Now, they save money all year and they go to a Passover program so that it's good for everybody and her husband can do whatever. Or everybody will have their different little things. Somebody will say, oh, one thing I tried is I told my husband, even though you keep nothing, it will make me feel better out of respect. Do one thing: wear a baseball cap, put on tzitzit, something, whatever. Everybody has their opinions. People who've gone through this have worked it out. People who've had successful marriages through this. What are they doing right? What are the people doing wrong? Talk to some divorced people. Why did you leave? Did it make it better? Are you worse? Are you happier? What's going on with the kids? There's a lot of information that knowing that information could give a whole direction of the best way to succeed at this, because it's not easy. So that's just food for thought, something to think about.
Rosemary said you should write a book also. So Rosemary's already gonna buy it.
Yeah.
So start journaling on the couch. Yeah,
I'd buy it too.
Yeah. So you got already a couple. Do you have your thing?
I have to find the thing. There's so many buttons on here. Okay,
gosh,
ready.
we have to
Wait, I have to do it at the same time. I have to throw the empty
throw
bottle.
and
Okay,
hit.
ready?
Sorry.
I'm not going to do
Pause
that. You just
for
going.
comic relief.
Okay, hold on. Okay, had to do that.
Nice.
And Sydney has no idea what just happened. I finished the water bottle. Okay,
He's
and
like,
so
you just broke a glass. You threw a glass at your husband. No.
Okay, fine. Okay, so
what was that?
What's that? We just have an inside joke. Whatever, we throw the glass and
Leia
it
likes
crashes.
to throw her empty
but
water
we
bottles.
happen to find a noisemaker that was really effective. Okay, so let me there's two other points I wanted to get over. One is that maybe you've tried this before. People don't realize how much emotional turmoil this can cause in a woman, especially dealing with it without a support system, is getting therapy to deal with the mourning of the loss of that aspect of your marriage, of having a religious partner. That wouldn't be, I'm not necessarily one of these people who feel like you need to go to therapy for 5 years and twice a week and whatever. I think therapy can do wonders and extraordinary things. It can really help us. Sure. We might have an idea of one way we want to go and we can't get there ourselves, or we can't think outside of ourselves. And people who are trained and professionals in this can get us somewhere in 2 months that we never thought we could be, and getting rid of resentments and tension and anger and frustration and sadness. There could be a post-traumatic stress disorder component to the mourning that people in this circumstance, in many situations, go through. So I would not be out of the question for you to find somebody that you could just cry your shoulders on. Somebody who's religious, who understands, somebody else will so what? Every man should do whatever they want. Every person should do what they want, and you have to deal with it, whatever, without saying, aw, yeah, that's that. Oh, I'm sorry. We need that. We need the, oh, you poor thing. And the, being able to open our heart to somebody and to, help learn coping mechanisms. And I would be very clear when you do something like this. You walk in and say, listen, here's what I'm dealing with. I've been dealing with it for 5 years or whatever. I really could use some more coping strategies. I'd like to be here for, 2 months, 3 months max, something like that, once a week, and just to help me process my emotions and deal with it so that I feel better about myself and have more confidence about my role in this situation. Does that make any sense?
I am grateful that I do have a wonderful therapist.
Excellent.
And she has helped me a lot get over this mourning period.
Right.
I feel that I'm mourning it a lot less and accepting a lot more.
Amazing.
That's fantastic. So what would your advice to be to women who are in this situation who are resistant to going to a therapist? That would be very helpful.
I think a lot of husbands can be against going to therapy, and I think that you need to go anyway for yourself. I considered couples counseling and things like that, and he was completely out of the question, no way. But by going myself, it has helped me tremendously.
Right.
But I actually,
and also develop a healthier relationship.
Beautiful.
yeah, I actually think what Leah said before about finding yourself a rabbi or a mentor or rebbitzin is going to be so huge for you, because I think as a baalei teshuva, you've turned to religion and you've embraced it, and you really you respect and follow what you're being taught and told. Like you said, going to shiurim scares you now because you don't want to learn more and have to worry about taking on more. That if there's a rav or rebbitzin that gives you the okay to not be as, I don't want to say as religious, but as strict
on things. Things are fences around the fences.
Correct.
Yeah.
If you have a rabbi rebbitzin that says, no, you know what, you don't have to do that, and that's okay, I think it will ease so much of this feeling of angst that you're having and ease that tension in your home because you're so connected that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I think she has the therapist, but not that rabbi or mentor that can help her.
That can help her just logistically, just with do I need to do something? Oh. Okay.
No, but by the way, yeah, we have someone on Instagram who actually, interesting. You see, this topic is affecting a lot of people.
Wow.
We're getting a lot of interaction. But we have Ali who says, I'm married to an Israeli IDF, and now he says that wearing a sheitel reminds him of oppression, and he's always asking her for sources, and she basically said to him, tzniut, modesty is for the woman, and the man is supposed to be the head of the house. But tznius, being modest, is very personal. You see, this modest, Sydney, I was saying before, this modesty thing is connects to everyone, because women in general feel that need. And she says it's a hard thing for them that she dresses modestly, but covering my hair is where he loses it. And she's not even a baalei teshuva, and he doesn't want her to cover her hair with the sheitel. So it's like, this is a very personal thing, and a very personal thing for women. Because, like, why are you telling me about something that is mine?
So this woman who emailed this in, how is she? Can you answer? How are you holding? How are you?
Yeah. How are you dealing with it?
How are you dealing with it now?
Please,
have you,
Ali, if you could just
Ali,
respond.
have you been able to have a conversation with him that if?
Oh, I'm sorry. She is a baalei teshuva. I'm sorry. I misread
good.
that.
Okay,
She's actually a baalei teshuva.
Okay, fine. So and she wants to cover, and he doesn't want her to cover. So have you had a conversation with him? And if you did, what happened there?
Right. It seems that he gets very heated with her when she starts talking about it, and she's saying, I learned it in seminary, and this is what it's supposed to be. And he's like, show me the sources.
It's an emotional trigger
men
for him. That's what it ultimately
and men are very like, show me the proof. They don't want to, and we will. I have that a lot also where I was doing a lot of growth in my own life, and I would share a lot of it with my husband, feeling like, a husband and wife, we should share things, and I should share with him. Right. And he would get really upset, and he would start telling me other things, and it would cause a lot of problems.
You mean
when
you learned something in a shir, you would come home with it and share with him?
And I would share, and I'd be like, we need to start doing this, so we need, or look, isn't it interesting how I learned this?
And you're all pumped.
And I'm all pumped. And I literally had a wonderful rabbi who is unfortunately out of Eretz Yisrael and not as connected here, but Rabbi Kellerman, who said to me, I have to keep my growth and my Judaism to myself for a while, because he's on a different level and we're at different levels and we have to grow at different levels, and I can't shove it on him. I have to be very, because it's very hard for them when they're almost feeling like you're critical of them, even though I'm sharing something from not a perspective I want you to change. Just
so, but her issue is so hard.
So
I want to be able to.
So she responded. We talk about it, and he says, "Fine, but you can't tell me what to wear." Oh,
but she can't. He can't tell her what to wear.
No, meaning I think he's saying just correct.
She can't tell him.
Yeah, correct.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, and that's good. Fair enough.
Fair enough.
But
Even though it's going to make her upset that he's not
but
necessarily
hold on a
wearing
sec.
the right thing.
I would. There's juice in it. Make it so that there's juice in it for him by letting you do what you're doing. In other words, if he's letting you, get two different shekels and say, which one do you like? I want, make it worth his while that he's doing that for you.
Make him the best dinner and kiss the ground he walks on.
Kiss the ground he walks on. Now that gets to our final issue I want to cover today because we have to finish. I want people to understand that one of the questions, the first question that you asked me, I wish I could understand better what was expected of me as a wife in this circumstance. Okay, that's Sydney's first question to me, most important question she asked. And the issue is, no matter what our circumstance, there is an answer. We were created in a certain way, whatever it is, and men were created their way, that God had his reasons and rationales for making us emotional and whatever, and making them harsher and making, we're very, very different men and women as a whole and as in specific, okay? There is very, very clear guidelines. God gave us very clear guidelines of what makes us tick the best, what makes us, you can have a train going down a track and the wheel is kind of, right, for the whole life of that train. Or you can go and say, oh, the manual says to screw the wheel, instead of having them be like this, have them be like that. How's that for an idea? And then the train just goes beautifully down the track. We have such a guideline. It's called the Torah, and God made it very, very clear on how to do that. Now, I am telling you, if you don't know what our Masorah, what our tradition is for how to have the happiest marriage ever, do yourself a favor and find out. Okay, now
Buy Marriage Secrets.
Marriage Secrets has it there, but there's plenty of really, really good marriage books that are Torah sourced in Torah. Watching this show will also teach you what our Masorah is. What happened?
Well, we're over on time because my Instagram feed ended because we're in an hour.
Okay. Oh, so
Instagram people, check us out on Facebook. I'm going to type that in because our Instagram is down. But
You're
okay.
just
You're
1 minute over because I guess.
I see. Oh, because I need to finish.
This
Okay.
is such a big, good topic.
Sorry about that. Okay, so the bottom line is to get yourself to know what that Masorah is, so that answer to this question. I wish I could understand better what is expected of me of a wife, and standing on one foot, it's being the receiver. The husband's the giver, the wife's the receiver. The rest is all commentary. I'm so grateful to everyone for joining us here today. Sydney, beyond grateful. I hope you'll come back and report to us because your topic is very hot topic, very important, and you're such an open heart, and you're really a role model for many people, and we're all going to be waiting for your book.
Yeah, and let us know when your book comes
book
out. We will make sure to put you on.
Okay, this is Leah Richheimer for the Ladies Talk Show. Thank you very much for joining us. See you